Today we're looking at Lesson 8, Conversation 3. And this time we have the same situation, right? We start the same way. You're not feeling very good. Your stomach is bothering you. Oh my gosh. And so you go see a doctor and say, hey, doc, what's wrong with me? Can you save me? And the doctor says, oh, these pills, this medicine, these are laxatives. Laxatives are pills that make you need to go to the bathroom. Ooh, oh my gosh. That's not the right kind of medicine if you want to take care of your stomach. And this time, you're our third personality who's kind of chill, whatever. You don't really care. You'll do whatever the doctor says. You'll take any suggestion that he gives you. And this time, the doctor says, hey, you're pretty healthy, but you can try something for your body, mind, and spirit. Oh, so you connect with the universe. And so your doctor recommends you go to see some traditional Chinese medicine doctors to balance your yin and yang. Ooh, and maybe make you feel a little better. Your spirit might be better. First, you go to cupping. Cupping is where they put cups on you and it sucks out your blood. And cupping is pretty common in Taiwan, but people in America would not know what cupping is. So we learned some skills for how to explain things. Oh, it's something where blah, blah, blah. It's a procedure in which blah, 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 right? So using what we learn in these lessons, you can use to explain things to people. People might not know what cupping is, but you learned how to explain it. And then the doctor wants to send you to get acupuncture. Acupuncture, this one is well known in America. Everyone knows what acupuncture is. It's where needles get stuck in your body. Fling, 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 fling. Oh, I've never tried it. Have you? It sounds a little scary to me. And then the last one was that the doctor is going to send you to a Tui Na specialist. In America, people won't know what Tui Na is, but they do know what massage is. So you could explain Tui Na as a kind of massage where the doctor might go and give you an intense massage. Oh, ouch, ouch. And it's Bruno, that crazy muscle man, the meathead, who might give you a really scary massage and leave you black and blue. That sounds a little bit too much for me, right? Hi, Bruce. Welcome. Thanks for saying hi. So today we have a few different ideas, which we've learned together. First, we have Lesson 8, Part 3, Part 2, which is about words like whoever and whatever and however. And it's similar to any. Whatever is like anything, whoever is anyone, whenever is any time. So these are really useful words and different ways to show that it's not a big deal. It's anything is okay, right? And then in our next part, we learn about adjective clauses. An adjective clause is a way to describe something, right? And an adjective clause can start with a question word, right? So using who and what or which, right? Not what. Don't use what. Who and which is the first set we learned about. And then we learned about where and when. And we also learned that all of these can be changed to that. And people will use the word that in conversation. Okay? And then so two of them were about adjective clauses. And then the last part is our dialogue about going to see our TCM, traditional Chinese medicine doctor. Ooh, sounds exciting. So first up we have Lesson 8, Conversation 3, Part 2. Are you ready? So our first sentence is 我超级有钱，我可以买任何我想要的房子. Oh, wow, you're rich. Oh, I wish. the houses in Taipei are pretty expensive. I don't know. This isn't for me. Maybe for you. You could say, I'm super rich. I can buy whatever house I want. Okay? Another way to say this would be, I'm super rich. I can buy whichever house I want to buy. So here you can use whatever or whichever. Both are okay. So we start off with, I'm super rich. And of course, there are other ways you could say that. You could say, I'm really rich, or I'm incredibly rich, or I have tons of money. Okay? There are many different ways to do this. But this should be two sentences. One sentence is describing you, and then the second sentence describing what you can do. So I'm super rich, period. And then the second sentence, I can buy whatever house I want. Okay? So I can buy blah, 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 blah. Okay. And a lot of students put the word house before whatever. I saw a few people say I can buy houses whatever I want. Now, you actually want to put the word whatever before the word house. So I can buy whatever house I want. What you can do is you can imagine that whatever is describing the house. And you can think of whatever to mean any. I can buy any house I want. I can buy whatever house I want. Okay? So whatever is describing the house. So it doesn't matter this house, that house, this house, that house. I can buy whatever house I want. Okay? So whatever makes it like any, and then you use house to be more specific what you're talking about. And then we can also use the word whichever. I can buy whichever house I want to buy. And whatever and whichever are basically the same here. Whatever means any. Whichever suggests that there might be some choices. Maybe you have 10 choices. You can choose whichever you like. So which is used for a choice. So whatever and whichever, basically the same here, okay? Let's keep on moving. Next up, we have 我可以把房子装潢任何我喜欢的样子. Ooh, that sounds nice. So you're super rich. You can buy whatever house you want. And then you can say, I can decorate the house however I like. Okay, I can decorate the house however I like. Okay, so we have the word decorate. That's our action, right? I can decorate the house. And now we have however I like. However is talking about how you decorate it, right? So we're describing the way you decorate the house. I can decorate the house however I like. Here the word however means any way. Like I can decorate the house any way I like. Okay? So however is used when you're talking about a way of doing something. Like decorating, you do it a certain way, you can use however. Okay? So I saw a few people use the word whatever in this sentence. I can decorate the house whatever I like. Now, whatever is usually talking about a thing, right? And like before we had, I can buy whatever house I like or whatever house I want. Here we're saying I can decorate the house, blah, 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 blah. And so we're describing the way you do that, the action. But if you want to use the word whatever, you would have to describe a thing, okay? So you can use the word whatever, but you would have to change your sentence. You'd say, I can decorate the house whatever way I like, okay? Hear that word way, whatever way. So whatever way is similar to however. You're adding a thing, and that thing is the way you do it. Or if you want to be more specific, you can say, I can decorate the house whatever style I like. So you can use the word whatever, but you usually put it with a thing, right? While decorate is an action. Okay? So I can decorate the house however I like. Remember that however is talking about decorate, okay? So, yeah, that was the biggest issue a few people had. They used whatever, but without a thing to talk about. So, I can decorate the house whatever style I like, or I can decorate the house however I like, okay? And then our next sentence doesn't have one of these keywords, but this is to set up for the next sentence, right? So this one, people did really well with. I'll just tell you why I chose a certain phrase. So in Chinese, you have 那我什么时候可以去参观你的新房子? So you might ask your friend, oh, when can I go check out your new house? Okay? And then another way to say this would be, when can I go visit your new house? Okay? So here, I think everyone's answer was really, really close, if not exactly the same. When can I go check out your new house? Or when can I go visit your new house? Now, the only difference here is check out versus visit. And so visit is what some of you used, and that's pretty good. And I personally would use check out because I think that's a little bit better. Now, where are these different? How are these different? Well, visit means go there and maybe, well, see your friend. You visit a place, right? And check out is changing the focus to seeing the new house. So you want to look at it and see what they did, how they decorated it. So to check something out means to like look at it and get a feel for it and like, wow, this is a new thing I want to see. Okay? So visit is very general, but I think check out is a better word in this sentence because I've never seen your house before. I want to check it out. While visit doesn't mean exactly that. It doesn't mean that you've never seen it before. Like you could visit Taipei 101 and you probably have been there before. Oh, I'm going to visit Taipei 101 later. But if you've never been there before, you could say, ooh, I want to check out Taipei 101. Okay? So I think the best way would be, when can I go check out your new house? So you want to go take a look. Okay? Next up, we have 任何时候啊，你要带谁一起来都可以. Wow. So come on, bring everybody. So this person is super rich. They have this new fancy house and they say, whenever. You can bring whoever you want. So when can I check out your new house? Whenever. And then they add something. You can bring whoever you want, or you can bring whoever you like. Both are okay. Same meaning. So the answer to a question, you can respond with one of these words by itself, whenever. Or you could say, whenever you like, or whenever you want. Any kind of answer like that. And here the word whenever means any time. So whenever, it's not a big deal. It doesn't bother me. Whenever you like, whatever time works for you, okay? Oh, did you notice that? I said whatever time. So you could use whatever here, but like I said before, you want a thing with whatever time, okay? So whatever time, or whatever time you want, which would be the same as whenever, or whenever you want, okay? So whenever just means anytime, doesn't bother me. And then the second part, you can bring whoever you want. Whoever meaning any person or anyone. You can bring anyone you want. You can bring whoever you want. Okay? Now, using whoever, it's different from anyone because it kind of suggests that it doesn't matter. I don't care. It's focusing on that I don't care feeling about it. Oh, you can bring whoever you want. If you want to bring your grandma, fine. If you want to bring your Uncle Bill, sure. Whatever. Whoever. Okay? So, here I said you can bring whoever you want. Now, why do I use the word bring? Because if you come to my house, you bring someone there. meaning you're coming to me. So if I'm talking, I'm imagining you coming to me. And then you come to me, and on the way, you're bringing someone to me, okay? Bring is usually used to move someone or something to a place, okay? I saw a few people use the word take. Now, take is okay also, but I'm talking about coming to my house. So bring is better because you're bringing them to me. Take sounds like you're going away. So you can take something away, okay? Bring and take are very similar. Bring means going to a place. Take often means away from a place, okay? I also saw someone say, you can come with whoever. You can come with whoever. So you can come with whoever to my house. And that's okay. That works. But I think bring is better because it suggests that you can come and you can bring another person with you, like you're pulling someone along, okay? Everyone did a great job, as I said. And so let's move on to part 3. So lesson 8, conversation 3, part 3. And this is where we start learning about adjective clauses. And adjective clauses are super useful. They are very important, and you can use them to help you explain what you're talking about and describe things. If you don't know the exact name of something, an adjective clause can help you a lot. And what we'll learn about in conversation 4 is also an important part. I'm going to mention it here. You're going to see this in the next lesson. That these adjective clauses, we are using question words and the word that to start them, right? We have who and which and the word that, and then we have where and when to start these adjective clauses. Now, one thing you'll learn next dialogue, so in dialogue 4, is that a lot of the times you can get rid of these question words. So if you're having trouble remembering, oh, do I use who? Do I use which? Do I use that? Do I use when? Do I use where? If you're having trouble getting mixed up with those, well, first, you can just use the word that for most of them, and that's totally fine. But if you're having trouble with that also, a lot of times you can drop that word too and just get rid of these special words. So yeah, when we have something like the place where we're filming today, you can drop the word where and say the place we are filming today. But we'll talk more about that in our next dialogue. So keep that in mind. Don't worry so much about these question words, okay? But okay, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. But for now, let's stick with them and use them. So in our first sentence is 最后一个离开办公室的人要记得关灯. Okay, so this is focusing on a person, right? And so there are many ways to write these sentences, but you have to think about what are we focused on. Here we're focused on a person. So I would write this as the last person who leaves the office has to remember to turn off the lights. Okay? The last person who leaves the office has to remember to turn off the lights. Notice I have the words has to, but squishes together and becomes has to. Okay? The last person who leaves the office has to remember to turn off the lights. Remember, in English, we want these words to stick together. And that's an important part of speaking naturally. English speakers can be lazy. We don't want to speak one by one by one. We stick them all together. The last person has to remember. Okay? Another way to write this is to put the word last at the end of our adjective clause. The person who leaves the office last needs to remember to shut off the lights. Okay, same idea, just slightly moving the words around and changing has to needs to. Has to is probably a little bit more common just because it's easier to say. Has to, needs to. Okay? Needs to is a little bit harder to pronounce. So we'll use the easier one more often. And then we have turn off versus shut off. Means the same thing. Turn off the lights, shut off the lights. Just never say close the lights. Okay? I think all of you know that already. Okay, so everybody did a great job with this one. But a couple of things is that here we're talking about a general truth. So this is not a past tense thing. This is not a future thing. This is always true. We're talking about maybe today and tomorrow, every day. So what form should our verb be? So the last person who leaves the office, and then the verb is has to. Has to. So that is in present tense because it's a general truth. Talking about, hey, everybody always needs to do this. Okay? So I did see someone use past tense. The last person who leaves the office had to remember. But that would be talking about one time before. But we want present tense because it's always true. Okay, let's focus on the important part. The last person, okay, that's not enough information. The last person, what last person? And then we use an adjective clause to describe that person. The last person, describe them, who leaves the office, okay? So this phrase, who leaves the office, describes which last person, okay? So you could change this and say like, the last person who gives the boss their report will get fired. Oh, scary. So the last person doesn't tell you enough. You need this adjective clause to describe who exactly you're talking about, okay? And so we have the last person who leaves the office. You're describing that person, okay? Or you could just say the person. Okay, which person? The person who leaves the office last. So this group of words, who leaves the office last, describes one person, okay? And then we have has to, we have needs to. And this is like a responsibility, what you should do, right? I also saw someone use the word must. That person must remember. Must is actually not very common in spoken English because it sounds too strong. You might see this on a paper or in an email, but using the word must is very strong. So in spoken English, we often will use has to or needs to. Okay? Must sounds a little bit formal, a little bit intense. Okay? Okay. So those are the big things about that one. So let's keep on going. And so we have, next is, 你现在听到的噪音是我妹妹的歌声。Scary, right? Give you nightmares. So you could say, the noise that you hear right now is my sister's singing. So, the noise that you hear right now is my sister's singing. Okay, you can change this around a little bit different. The horrible noise that you hear right now is my sister singing. So make it a little more intense and say that it's horrible. Oh God. The horrible noise that you hear right now is my sister singing. Oh, my sister really needs to stop singing that Britney Spears song. Oops, I did it again. Sorry, I'm ruining your night. Okay, so we have two choices for the subject. So one is the noise. Most of you use just the noise. The word noise is very similar to the word sound, but noise could mean that it's not a good thing. But noise doesn't have to be bad. It's not always bad. So most of you just wrote the noise, okay? But if we want to emphasize that it's a bad sound, you can add an adjective. So I added the word horrible, the horrible noise, okay? Or the terrible noise, or the awful noise, whatever you want. So adding an adjective always makes your writing better, right? So the noise that you hear right now. So the noise or the horrible noise. Saying that by itself is not enough for the sentence. If you don't describe the noise, you just say, the noise is my sister singing. What noise? So you want this adjective phrase to describe it. The noise that you hear right now. So the noise in the phrase that you hear right now is describing the noise, telling more about it, helping the person understand what you're talking about. Okay? And noise is a thing, so you can use that, or you could use the word which. The noise which you hear right now is my sister singing. That's totally fine too. Okay? And when we use the word hear, we can often use present simple tense to mean it's just happening right now. So the noise that you hear right now. I saw some of you use the present continuous sentence, the present continuous tense, and that's totally fine too. The noise that you are hearing right now. That's okay, because it's continuing on. But with the word hear, you don't need to use continuous. And because you don't need to, most people won't, right? Keep it simple. If there's two choices that are the same, if one is longer than the other, we'll choose the shorter option, right? The noise that you're hearing right now is longer than the noise that you hear right now. So we choose the shorter one, okay? And then I did see someone say the noise that you heard right now. Be careful, heard is past tense. It's done, it's finished. So heard and right now, those don't match. So remember to be careful about your D sounds, like heard. If you have a D sound or an ED, that means it's past, and so it doesn't fit with right now, okay? So the noise that you hear right now is my sister's singing. Now, why did I use my sister's singing? Well, in English, this is not super important. You don't have to do this, but for good English, good writing, you want to have things being the same on both sides of the word is. So the noise, what is that? That's a noun, right? The noise that you hear right now is what? And so because noise is a thing, we want it to be a thing. The noise that you hear right now is my sister's singing. And so this is just style. You don't have to do this, but my English teachers would be happy that I'm telling you. So the noise that you hear right now is my sister's singing. If you can have a noun and a noun, that's better. So my sister's singing, singing is verb ing. It's a gerund, which acts like a noun, okay? So we want to have equals on both sides of the sentence. The noise is my sister's singing. But you don't have to do that. And so in the second version, I said the horrible noise that you hear right now is my sister singing. So my sister singing, her doing this action. So that would be okay too. Yeah. So up to you. But I would recommend if you want to have better writing, if you want to like be an author someday, maybe noun, noun. Okay? But day-to-day English, not a big deal. Okay. Next up is, this is pretty romantic, right? Oh, things are getting amazing. 那边的城堡，它有100年的历史，现在属于你了。Oh, wow. I wish someone would say this to me. So, in English, I would say, that castle, which has 100 years of history, is now yours. Ooh, wow. So you found someone who's rich, who really likes you. Or you could say, that castle over there, which has 100 years of history, now belongs to you. Wow, amazing, right? So this is kind of a amazing, fantastic situation. Maybe not very realistic, maybe a little fancy. So we use a little bit of formal English, something that you might see in a book. But in spoken English, you could do it a little bit different. So that castle which has 100 years of history is now yours. Okay. Or that castle over there, which has 100 years of history, now belongs to you. Okay. So remember, when do we use commas? Well, we use commas around our adjective clause if you can take the adjective clause out and your sentence is still okay. So if you take your adjective clause out, you would say, that castle is now yours. Can the person reading it understand? Yeah, that's pretty easy to understand. So we can put those commas in there, okay? Because this phrase is not super important, okay? But if we go back to our sentence from the beginning, the last person who leaves the office has to remember to turn off the lights. If I take away our adjective clause, it becomes the last person has to remember to turn off the lights. Do you understand what I'm talking about? Not exactly. So you need that phrase, and so you don't need commas around it. That's a little bit tricky, so don't worry too much about it. In speaking, you don't need to think about it at all, okay? And so, let's see. I said that castle or that castle over there, just pointing over to it. The over there is not important, but it's another way to say, like, hey, look that way, okay? And so, I saw someone use the phrase, the castle sitting there. Well, using the phrase sitting there sounds like that it might be able to move. So sitting there is something you use for anything that could move, but a castle can't really move, so we don't, sitting there doesn't really fit. You could say the person sitting there, that car sitting there, that cat sitting there, that rock sitting there. All of these things could maybe move, right? But a castle, I don't think anyone can move that, okay? So it's better to say that castle or that castle over there. Now, describing that castle which has 100 years of history. Okay, so which is used for a thing. And of course, if you want, you could use that castle that has 100 years of history. But using which here is a little bit better because this feels a little more formal. They're trying to be poetic, okay? When we're describing that something has a long history, usually you put the years before the word history. You could say, which has 100 years of history. You could also say it the opposite way, which has a history of 100 years. And it depends on the person speaking or the writer. I personally kind of like 100 years of history better. It sounds a little nicer, sounds a little bit that you're focused more on the time, 100 years of history, and you go, wow, the 100 is the focus, okay? I did see someone say that castle which has been 100 years. Well, close, but you could say that castle which has been there for 100 years, okay? So it's been there for 100 years. And that's fine. That's a little more casual English. If you want to sound a little more formal, use something like has 100 years of history, okay? Another way to say it would be also has a 100-year history. That would be okay too. But often, if we're putting a number before history, it would be 100 years of history, okay? Or something like today, Thanksgiving. The Thanksgiving holiday has more than 300 years of history, something like that, okay? it focuses on the number and showing that it's a big number, okay? Okay, I'm sticking to the same sentence for too long. You guys are going to go crazy. So, that castle is now yours, or that castle now belongs to you. Both of these are fine, and I think pretty much everybody got this kind of sentence, or the same ideas, but changed the word order. Now, why did I put the word now in front of the action? So we've learned before, or have we? We will learn that the time is supposed to go at the end, right? So adverbs for time usually go at the end. So in spoken English, in regular English, you would say that castle is yours now, or that castle belongs to you now, okay? And that's correct grammar. That's what you usually should do. You usually should put the time at the end. But this, someone's trying to be poetic and fancy and romantic. And to be romantic, you can move the word now in the sentence. So that castle is now yours. So it doesn't really change the meaning. It just sounds more poetic. And so we put now before yours. And then the other one, that castle now belongs to you. So we put now in front of belongs. It just sounds more poetic, sounds more romantic. So if you put now at the end, that's totally fine. That's what you should do most of the time. But in this sentence, it's a little bit fancy, a little bit romantic. Oh, that castle is now yours. Ooh, Romeo says this to Juliet, maybe. Okay? Next up, this person bought you a castle, and then they say this other romantic thing to you. Oh, doki doki, 我唯一在乎的人只有你. Oh, wow. I think I said it, I butchered it. Didn't sound very romantic, right? But in English, you could say, the only person who I care about is you. Wow. Or the only person that I care about is you. Okay? Now, like I mentioned before, in our next dialogue, we will learn that you can take away the word who or the word that if you have a subject here. And so you could change it to the only one I care about is you. So day-to-day English, people would probably say this last sentence actually without who or without that because it makes it smoother, easier to say. The only one I care about is you, or the only person I care about is you. But in this lesson, we're focusing on, yes, we want to keep who, we want to keep that, right? So the only person who I care about is you. The only person that I care about is you. And if you notice the way I pronounced that, maybe you heard it. The only person that I care about is you. So that I blends together. So you might say that I, but you don't need to separate it, put it together, say it like it's one word. And the T turns into a D sound. That I. So the only person that I care about is you. So it sounds like that I. Okay? The only person that I care about is you. Try it 5 times fast. Can you do it? Try. Go. Okay? So I think everyone did really well with this one. The one thing that we had an issue with is the word only, and where does it go? It's best if you put only with person. The only person that I care about is you. The only person that I care about is you. Because you're focused on in the whole world, there are many people. And the only person, there's just one, that you care about. So only goes with that person. Because you're trying to say there are many people, and you take this one person and say they're very important. The only person I care about. And only is at the beginning because you want to emphasize it. Okay? So I saw a few people say things like, the person who I care about is only you. But we want to put only with person because we're focused on everybody else, not important. Okay? The person who I only care about is you. That's putting the focus on care, but we want to focus on the only person, right? The other people don't matter. So we want only with person because it shows a difference between them and then this one person. Okay? Let's keep on moving. We have our next set, which was also about adjective clauses. And this is about places and times, right? So we can make adjective clauses with where, using in which, or at which, or on which, whatever. And then we can use when, and then we can also use that, right? And like I said before, we'll learn in the future that you can often take away these question words. But for now, let's keep them in there, okay? So, first sentence is,我们今天拍摄影片的地方在淡水. Okay, so remember the focus is the place, right? We're focused on what are you trying to tell the person? We're trying to tell the person where, right? So the word place should be the focus. It's the beginning of this sentence. So in English, I would say, the place where we're filming today is in Tamsui. I'm not sure the best way to pronounce that. So you guys can help me with Taiwanese, Tamsui. I'm not sure. You got to help me. Or Americans would probably say Tamsui, something like that. The place where we're filming today is Tamsui or Tamsui. Okay? And then another way to write this would be using the old name for that place. And so the place was called one name, and then recently they changed it to Tamsui. So another way to write this would be, the place where we're shooting today is in Danshui. So right now, the name on the MRT for this place, in Chinese, it's Danshui, or in Mandarin, it's Danshui. In English, when I first came to Taiwan, the MRT station was called Danshui Station. So it would be, you're approaching Danshui MRT station, spelled with a D. But a few years ago, recently, they changed it to, I think, the Taiwanese pronunciation, which is, Tamsui, or something like that. So in English, now it's written with a T to be closer to the Taiwanese name, which is, in English, you could say Tamsui or Tamsui, okay? Well, yeah, so Bruce, Dansui is the pronunciation in Mandarin, but right now, they write on the MRT with a T. So the English pronunciation of that place, me and my friends will still call it Danshui, but on the MRT, it's using the T sound, which is, I think, Tamsui. Okay, so you guys can make fun of my Taiwanese. It's terrible. So the place where we're filming today is Tamsui. Okay, so we are describing the place. And why would you say this? Think of the situation. Maybe you and your friends are going to film a video and you're planning. And when you're planning, you're trying to tell everyone where to go. You say, oh, the place where we're filming today is in Tamsui. So you're focused on the place where we're filming today, okay? And so you're telling people this is where you should go, okay? And here we have the place where we're filming today. Where we're filming today, describing the place. And in this phrase, I used continuous tense. And we can use that for future, right? You can use we are filming to describe later today because it's happening soon. Okay? And so remember, when is this going to happen? It's going to happen soon, so you can use present continuous. You could also use future. You could say the place where we will film today. or the place where we'll film today. Future would be okay, but if it's today, you can use present continuous because it's happening soon. Okay? So I saw a couple people use past tense. So the place where we filmed today isn't, or then you'd have to say was in tam sui. That would be it already happened, you're finished. Okay? And filming means to make a movie, make a video. You could also say shooting. Shooting is another common word to mean shooting video, making videos. Okay? I would say filming is probably your best choice. You don't want to confuse people by using the word shooting. It could be a little scary. Okay. The place where we're filming today is in Tam Sui. Why did I use in? Because that's a big place. The place where you're shooting is in there somewhere. If you just say the place where we're filming today is Tam Sui, maybe you are going to many places inside. So both would be okay, but I used in to show that it's one spot in that bigger area. Okay? And then let's see. I saw someone, I think you know who, said, today we're in Tam Sui, where we're shooting videos. Now, the grammar in this sentence is great, and it's totally fine. But it changes the focus and what the sentence is used for. In my sentence, I start with the word the place where we're filming today, blah, 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 blah. And that's because I'm trying to tell someone where it's going to happen, where we need to go. If you say, today we're in Tam Sui, where we're shooting videos, this sounds like you are already in that place. And so this could be what someone says in a video. Like if I made a video in that place, maybe I'd say, hey, today I'm in Tam Sui and I'm going to blah, 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 blah. Okay? And so if you say something like that, today we're in, you're focused on where you are at that time. And the focus is less on where you're filming. Okay? So depending on what goes at the beginning of the sentence changes what is most important. So if you say, today we're in Tam Sui, you're focused on being there. If you start with the place where, you're focused on, you're telling someone where to go or where we're going. Okay? Next up is 我们买名产的那家店是百年老店. Okay? Remember, what is the focus of the sentence? What are you trying to tell the person about? Depending on what you're trying to describe, put that at the beginning. So I said, the store in which we bought local specialties is 100 years old. So the focus here is the store. I'm telling you about the store. So I start with the store. Someone else wrote a sentence that was pretty good, and I wrote a similar version like this. And this changes the focus, though. You could say, we bought local specialties in a shop which is 100 years old. So what does this change the focus to? It changes to focus on the action. We bought local specialties in a shop which is 100 years old. Because you said we bought blah, blah, blah at the beginning, that means that's the focus, okay? So both are okay. It depends what is more important. What are you trying to tell the person? What do you want them to think about? I want them to think about the store. So the store in which we bought local specialties is 100 years old, okay? You could also use the word shop, of course, right? Store and shop, same thing. Or basically the same thing, okay? A shop might be a little bit smaller than a store, but whatever, okay? Let's see. And then 名产 is a tricky thing to translate. So I got a few different translations, and depending on what you're thinking about, many of them would be okay. Many of them would be okay. I said local specialties. Local specialties, the word specialty means something that's special. a thing that's special. And a local specialty, meaning it's a special thing for that place. And so this could include many different things. It could mean foods. It could mean things they make. It could be souvenirs. It could be whatever. So local specialties is a very general phrase you could use. But you could change this, of course. 名产 could be used for other ideas too. If you want to talk about food, you could say local cuisine, which I saw someone use. Good. Talking about food. Or local snacks. Okay? Or I saw famous products. That's good, but you might want to say famous local products if you want to focus on that it's from that place. And then I also saw people use the word souvenirs. Souvenirs means a little thing you can buy, you take home, and maybe you keep it to remember the place or give it as a gift. And you could say souvenirs or famous souvenirs. So all of these are good, depends on what you're trying to talk about, right? So thing about English is it's very flexible. You can change based on what you're trying to describe, okay? And then the last part is the store. Well, okay, the store, and then we describe the store. The store, which store? In which we bought local specialties, right? And then in which is the same as where. The store where we bought local specialties, both are okay. Is 100 years old. Now, in Chinese, you say 百年老店. And so you have the word store again. But in English, we don't want to repeat ourselves, so you don't need the word store. The store is 100 years old. So you don't need the word shop, you don't need the word store. Just say it's 100 years old, okay? Like, if you talk about a person, you'd say, oh, this man is 35 years old. You don't need to say this man is a 35-year-old man. You don't need to say man again, right? So don't need to repeat yourself, okay? So I said is 100 years old. I saw someone use the word history, but your grammar was a little mixed up. So you could use the word history like our castle again, and you could say the store in which we bought local specialties has a 100-year history or has 100 years of history. Both would be okay. Sure. Up to you, right? The thing about it, languages are flexible. These are all tools for you to use, okay? Many different options. Next up, keep on moving. 曾经淡水老街上，到处都是观光客. So, we're talking about the past, way back when. And when? What time? So, there was a time. Okay, sure, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. There was a time when Tamsui Old Street was full of tourists. Okay? So, when we're talking about a long time ago, and we're trying to remember, we're telling someone something that's different about the past. There was a time when blah, 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 blah. So this is a pretty common phrase. There was a time when Tamsui Old Street was full of tourists. Okay? I also saw there was a time when there were tourists everywhere on Tamsui Old Street. That would be okay. So you start with there were what and tell me where. So there were tourists everywhere. Where? On Tamsui Old Street. That would be great. And then there used to be a lot of visitors all around in Tamsui Old Street. Okay, that would be good too. There used to be a lot of visitors in or on Tamsui Old Street. That's totally fine too. So you could use other tools that we've learned before. You don't have to use the structure. But if you want to use this when clause, there was a time when. Okay? So good sentences. And let's see. Remember, if you say Tamsui Old Street, if it's the name of a place, you need a capital letter for every word. Tamsui, capital T, Old, capital O, Street, capital S, right? all three words are part of the name. Okay? Okay. So next up is we're hopeful for the future. 我相信总有一天景气会再好起来. Oh, yes. I think it's going to be okay. Maybe. I hope so. It's pretty good now, but maybe it'll get even more exciting in the future. I believe there will be a day when the economy will get better again. You could also say, using a phrase that is in our dialogue at the end, I didn't write this down, but you could say, I believe there will be a day when the economy will be back on its feet. Oh, do you remember that? Back on its feet. So to recover, you could say back on your feet. The economy could be back on its feet. Does an economy have feet? Well, no, of course not, but we can imagine it as a thing and use this phrase anyways. So I believe there will be a day when the economy will get better again. So remember, economy is a thing with a Y. A few of you use the word economic. Economic is an adjective, so it doesn't work here. Economic is, you'd have to connect it to a noun. Like everybody got their 三倍券, and those are part of an economic stimulus plan. Economic stimulus means they're pushing the economy, okay? So economic has to be an adjective, okay? So I believe there will be a day, and then we describe that day. There will be a day when the economy will get better again, okay? I also saw someone say, I believe the day when the economy is good will come again, something like that. That's okay, you could use come again. I also saw someone say, I believe there's one day. Now we need to talk about the future. So remember, we don't want to say there's, meaning there is. We want to say there will be, okay? I believe there will be a day. Or you could say, I believe there'll be a day, if you want to stick it together. There, apostrophe LL. I believe there'll be a day. And so, for the word day, usually we use when after it. There will be a day when blah, 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 blah. You could use the word that, but it sounds a little bit better if you use when with a time. There will be a day that the economy will get better, okay? And I use the word better because we're comparing with now. We're talking about the future and now. We think the future will be better than now. So better is a good word to use here. So a few of you used the word great or be good or something like that. But better is good to show that it's a comparison with now. Okay, let's see. And now let's keep on moving. We move into our dialogue, our conversation with our doctor. And have you tried any of this Chinese medicine? We have cupping, acupuncture, dung, 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 and tuina, intense massage. Some of these things people in America might know. People will know acupuncture for sure. Some people might know tuina and cupping, but not many. So you need to be able to describe it. Using all these adjective clauses are ways to describe things. Describe them. In our dialogue, the pamphlets and the leaflets you got, the brochures, they said, oh, it's a procedure in which blah, blah, blah. Or it's a treatment when someone does this. Now, when you're describing things, you could do something like that, or you could keep it simple. If you want to describe something, you can use just the word a thing. If you forget a word, so, oh, I forget this thing. It's a thing that blah, 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 blah. And maybe you can just describe it like that. Let's give you an example. This is really easy. You probably won't forget it, but let's say you forget the word banana. You're having a bad day. You forget the word banana. Oh, it's a thing that is a little bit sweet. It's a thing that is yellow. It's a thing that you open and then you eat. And the person talking to you says, oh, it's a banana. Or maybe you forget the word. Well, you can try to figure out what I'm saying. If you know this word, this might be tricky. Oh, it's a thing that is like a lion. Okay. It's a thing that lives in Africa. It's a thing that runs really fast. Can you guess? It's a thing that has spots on it. And then the person talking to you goes, ding dong, I think that's a cheetah. Okay? So using adjective clauses is really useful for people learning English, because if you ever forget a word, you can use adjective clauses to describe what you're thinking about. So it's really common, it happens all the time where everybody forgets words sometimes, even native speakers. Oh, what was that word? And then you describe it using these kinds of phrases. So useful stuff, and we use them to practice describing these treatments, okay? And so let's go into hopefully you can practice using these things and help you describe what you're talking about. Never worry about forgetting words. We all forget words. You just have to use other words to get to the meaning, right? And maybe the person you're talking to can give you an answer and help you out, okay? So let's get to our homework and try to wrap things up. I want to send you guys to bed. Don't want to keep you up too late. So first is, 布鲁诺是我认识很久的朋友. So I don't actually have a friend named Bruno, but we're imagining this giant meathead. So Bruno is a friend who I've known for years. Bruno is a friend who I've known for years. Okay, so Bruno is a friend. You're just describing who is Bruno. And then we want to give more details about what kind of friend. Bruno is a friend who I've known for years. This phrase describes the word friend, okay? Another way to say this is Bruno is a friend who I've known for a long time, okay? So when we say friend, a friend is a person, so you can use the word who to describe them. A friend who I've known for years. Years just means a long time, many, many years. And so you could say years or a long time. And then I think I saw someone use the word whom. Bruno is a friend whom I've known for years. And that is actually good. That's correct. Here you can use whom, because whom is an object. I've known whom. So Bruno is a friend whom I've known for years. But I would recommend to you, forget the word whom. No one uses that word anymore. Or Americans never use the word whom. Maybe if you're taking a test or it's in a grammar book, you'll see the word whom. But speaking, no one says whom. It just sounds, it's hard to pronounce. Bruno is a friend whom I've known for years. The M doesn't help anything. It just makes it harder to say, okay? You could also use the word that. Even though he's a person, you can use the word that. Bruno is a friend that I've known for years. And like we said before, that I links together. Bruno is a friend that I've known for years. So that I've known for years, okay? And here we have I've known. This is the present perfect tense. I have known. Why do we use present perfect tense? Well, it started in the past and continued till now. So we're talking about friendship. When we're talking about friends you've known for a long time, we use present perfect, okay? Let's see. How about Bruno is my friend? Bruno is my friend who I've known for years. Yeah, that's totally fine too. Sure, Bruno is my friend who I've known for years. Yeah, that would be okay. I use the word here because why do I use instead of my? If someone asked me a question and say, wait, who is Bruno? If I'm describing him, I'd say, oh, Bruno is a friend. And a friend, of course, suggests my friend. So you don't have to say my. You can use a or my here. Bruno is a friend. So anyone, so blah, blah, blah is a friend. Of course, it means your friend, right? Okay? So yeah, my would be totally okay too. And next up is this guy, Bruno. He loves exercising, big muscles. 他在一间健身房工作，那里有很多健身课程。Wow, so sounds like a pretty good gym. Okay? And we want to describe the gym, right? He works at a gym which has lots of exercise classes. Now, because gym is a place, you could also use where. He works at a gym where there are lots of fitness classes. And which can be replaced with that. So he works at a gym that has lots of exercise classes. That's okay. So if you use the word which, you're thinking of a gym as a thing, which is fine. A gym is a thing. If you use the word where, you're thinking of gym as a place, which is fine. It is a place, right? So lots of different choices, lots of tools to use. Okay? I've said this a million times, I think, but think of all the things we're learning as tools you can use. They're not rules you have to follow, okay? So he works at a gym which has lots of exercise classes. So here, which becomes the subject of this clause, which has lots of exercise classes. If we use the word where would act like the object. There are lots of fitness classes. So we have the word there to act as the subject. Okay? Usually, if we use which, you can use which as the subject. So he works at a gym which has lots of exercise classes. But for the word where, we don't often use where as the subject. So I did see a few people say he works at a gym where has a lot of fitness classes. But we don't often do that. So usually where acts like the object. So we'd say where there are. So where there are lots of fitness classes. Okay? So think of it that way. Like you can have which has, but if you use where, you'd say where there are, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So that's a little bit tricky. I'm not sure how much we got into that, but it sounds more natural if where is followed by a subject verb. Where there are, where we're shooting, where I bought, blah, 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 okay? So where is often followed by subject verb, okay? Let's see. And if you use that, that is usually like which, where it's that would act like the subject. So he works at a gym that has, or which has. So if you use which or that, it's often followed by a verb. If you use the word where, it's often followed by a subject verb. Okay? So that was a little bit of a tricky part for some people. So the gym which has blah, 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 or the gym that has blah, 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 or the gym where there are blah, blah, blah. Okay? Oh, okay. I'm getting to this part, last thing. So I said, which has lots of exercise classes. You could also say fitness classes. The question here is workout classes or workout courses. That's okay too, yeah. You could call them workout courses, workout classes. I would choose exercise or fitness because it's more general. Workout is focused on probably lifting weights, okay? While exercise or fitness could be many different things, okay? Workout sounds like you're lifting weights and just running, while fitness or exercise could be like yoga, it could be a spin class, which is a bicycle class. So exercise and fitness sounds more general. Workout is okay, but it sounds a little bit more focused on maybe lifting weights and running. Okay, but that's fine too. Workout classes. Okay, next up. 他问我要不要试试空中瑜伽，对腰酸背痛有帮助。So he asked me if I wanted to try aerial yoga, which is good for a sore back. Okay? Or he asked me if I wanted to try aerial yoga, which can relieve back pain. Okay? So the first part is practicing what we've learned before about questions, or like reporting what someone asked you. He asked me if I wanted to try aerial yoga. And I don't think anyone had any trouble with that. People are getting really good at this reported speech, right? So he asked me if I wanted to try aerial yoga. Asked in past tense because it happened before. If I wanted, because he was asking me at that time. Okay? And then the name of this kind of yoga is aerial yoga. The word aerial is not very common. It means in the air. But aerial yoga is a set phrase to describe this kind of yoga. And you can just say aerial yoga. I saw someone add the word the aerial yoga, but you don't need the word the. Just say aerial yoga. And then I saw someone say sky yoga. That's more of a direct translation, but we don't call this kind of yoga sky yoga, or I haven't heard that before. I think sky yoga might be the name of like a yoga place, like a yoga studio. But this kind of yoga is called aerial yoga. They have straps hanging from the ceiling, and you spin around like whoa. So I've never tried it. I would probably get hurt. So Bruno wants you to get more healthy. He asked me if I wanted to try aerial yoga, which is good for a sore back. So we're describing aerial yoga. What is aerial yoga about? Aerial yoga, which is good for a sore back. Aerial yoga is a thing, an activity, and you can use which, okay? And which is used for things. Which is good for a sore back. So which can act as the subject, and so it's which is good for a sore back. Now, anytime we're talking about being in pain or being sore, you could say something is good for something. Okay? Now, how about you? What do you think is good for a headache? Do you know any home remedies for a headache? Well, something simple. Rest is good for a headache, or drinking water is good for a headache. Okay? What about an upset stomach? If your stomach hurts, what's good for an upset stomach? Well, people in America, there's a home remedy. Maybe it's an old wives' tale. Ginger ale is good for an upset stomach. Interesting. Ginger ale is a kind of soda. I don't know why, but my mom would give me ginger ale when I was a kid if my stomach hurt. Kind of funny. Maybe the bubbles help your stomach? Who knows? Okay, so here we have aerial yoga, which is good for a sore back. Your back hurts, you want something to help you fix it. Okay? You could also say aerial yoga, which can relieve back pain. We learned relieve stress in our dialogue, so you could say relieve back pain. This sounds more formal though. You might see it in a pamphlet, or a doctor might tell you this. Oh, this would relieve back pain. But in day-to-day spoken English, you could say it's good for a sore back, or it's good for back pain. Okay? You could use the word helpful. It's helpful for back pain, but I think it's more common to use phrases like it's good for. Keep it simple, okay? And then I saw one person said wanted to write sore muscles, but they wrote sour muscles. So be careful of your spelling. I think you know who you are. You wrote sour muscles. Now, sour and sore are very different. If it's S-O-R-E, that means sore. Ouch, it hurts. If you say S-O-U-R, that's sour. And sour is like you bite a lemon. Ooh, that's sour. Okay? So in Chinese, there's one word, suan. In English, there are 3 different meanings. Suan in Chinese can mean 3 different words in English. Suan could mean sore. Ow, my arm. Suan could mean sour, like a lemon. Ooh, that lemon is sour. And suan can also mean acid. Acid is a liquid that can burn things. So be careful what things you're saying and which English word goes to the right thing. So one funny story about this word, suan, I had a student who was actually a yoga teacher. And he one time he said, oh, my muscles are very acid. It's like, oh my God, that sounds really scary. It sounds like someone poured scary acid on his body. Oh, my muscles are acid. Oh God, that sounds scary. But what he meant was, my muscles are sore. So be careful which word you're thinking of. Sore means ouch. Sour means acid means blah, 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 blah. Scary chemicals. Okay. So let's see. Last but not least, here's our last sentence using one of our idioms from our dialogue. 我想这应该就是我需要的. So in English, if you want to directly translate this, you could say, oh, I think that this is just what I need. And you could say that, that's totally fine. This is just what I need. But there's a more interesting, fun way to say it. That's an idiom we learned. And people actually use this phrase. I think that might be just what the doctor ordered. Okay, that might be just what the doctor ordered. Did a doctor actually tell you to do this? Well, no, it doesn't have to be. But anytime there's something that is perfect for you, something is great, and it's the right thing for you, you could say, hey, that's just what the doctor ordered. So maybe you've been working really hard and you had a long day of work and your friend says, hey, would you like a glass of wine? You might say, wow, that's just what the doctor ordered, meaning it's perfect for me right now. Or maybe you're really, really hungry and your friend gives you some food and you say, wow, this food is just what the doctor ordered. So you can use this phrase for anything, okay? Anything that is perfect for the situation right now, okay? So I said, I think that might be just what the doctor ordered. So might be, meaning I'm not exactly sure, but I have a good feeling that this is what I need or what I want, okay? I did see someone use the phrase should be. I think that should be just what the doctor ordered. Now that would be okay. I think should is a little more confident, saying like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that will work. So I think that might be just what the doctor ordered, meaning you think it sounds good. I think that should be just what the doctor ordered, meaning you're pretty sure it's going to work, okay? I also saw someone say, I think that may be just what the doctor ordered. May space be. Now, that is correct. May be is the same as might be. But I think we discussed before that may be, it's easy to mix it up with one word, maybe. So most native speakers don't use the phrase may be. I think that may be just what the doctor ordered. Instead, people will use might because there's no confusion there, okay? So stick to using might. I think that might be just what the doctor ordered, okay? And like I said before, this is using an idiom, and it's common. It's a fun thing to say. But if you want to stay away from this, you could just use simpler words. Don't need this phrase. You could say, I think that might be just what I need. Okay? So you go try your aerial yoga and spin around. Woo, woo, woo. Hopefully you don't fall down and hurt yourself again. Okay? So here we go to the end of our lesson. So right now we have no more questions. So if you have more questions, send it now. So we have our dialogue where you're not feeling well, you go see the doctor and you say, hey, I'll do whatever you suggest. Send me to whoever you think can help me. I will try whatever treatments you can give for me. And the doctor tries to send you to a few different Chinese medicine doctors. In our next dialogue, we get back to seeing our friend Bob. And Bob is going to help you this time. You say, hey, doc, thanks for the help, but I'll be okay. Friendship is the best medicine, right? Or laughter is the best medicine. So you go meet your friend and have a few laughs, have some fun. And Bob tries something that's called hypnotism. So Bob tries to use hypnotism to control your mind. And Bob tries to control your mind and teach you some famous sayings in English, some proverbs that are about your health. You are what you eat. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. So some common sayings in English that are about your health and being healthy. And hopefully Bob can help you. So next time we'll see what happens when you're being a little bit funny, being a little bit silly, and hanging out with Bob, and he tries to hypnotize you. Have you ever seen someone get hypnotized? It's pretty funny. Sometimes it gets ridiculous. Maybe someone will believe they're a dog, or believe they're, I don't know, turning into a kitten, something funny. Okay? So, let's see. So, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining. And I'll see you guys next time. I'll stick around for a few minutes. If you want to chat with me, I'll be around for a few more minutes. And so reach out. If not, I might text you and try to catch you before bedtime. So thank you, everybody. Have a good night and happy Friday, or happy Thanksgiving for today. Go get some turkey this weekend. Enjoy some Thanksgiving festivities and tell the people around you thank you and that you love them. Remind people that you care about them. That's what Thanksgiving is for, giving thanks to the people you care about. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you next time. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.